Welcome to the Daily Devo. My name is Diana. Today we are talking about how trust building needs God's support. Trust needs building at times, doesn't it? Today, we are thinking about the idea of trust building in relationships, how to build that connection and that trust. And the big idea is this: trust building needs God's support. When you are first meeting people, or in those times when trust has been broken and needs to be repaired, we can choose to lean into trust. And we can build it up, and trust between us and others can start to grow. Well, as we look at God's word, we're going to discover that this is a journey that we cannot walk out on our own. Listen to today's verse and find hope. In Psalm 118, verse 6, it says this: "The Lord is with me. I will not be afraid. What can mere mortals do to me?" You see, as followers of Jesus, do you remember that the Lord is with you? That oftentimes we can start to think that our relationships, that it's just us and the other person. And we forget that God is with us even in those situations, that God is with us in our relationships. It's not just the person you can see with you. Well, why does this matter? As followers of Jesus, it matters because you are not left to navigate all of that on your own. As you rebuild trust, which is hard and painful to do, you get to pray about it and talk about it with God. You get to tell him what is hard. You get to tell him what doesn't seem right. And you get to tell him anything and everything else that you are thinking and feeling. You also get to ask God for his wisdom, to ask him for his perspective, for his guidance, for him to defend you in the mind of the other person, for him to defend the other person in your mind. You get to ask for his empowering help, and that is good news. You are not left alone in your relationships. Today, the question is, will you remember the Lord's presence with you, even in that relationship? Today, will you engage with the Lord about your relationship? You know, there's a story from the Old Testament that stands out right now. It's when 3 men were thrown into this fiery furnace of old, and they are attacked simply because of their faith, and their leader did not like something about them, yet they were left alone to simply endure it all. They weren't left alone. They were not actually helpless. The Bible tells us that as they were thrown into the fiery furnace, when they looked in, they threw 3 people in, but yet there was a 4th standing in the fire with them. You see, they were not left alone in the fire. The Lord was with them. You can find that in Daniel chapter 3. Today, I want you to choose to remember that God does not abandon his children. I want you to ask God to help you notice him. Ask God to bring you near to him. You get to choose to walk with the Lord in your relationships. You are never alone if you but ask. Would you ponder these things today?